I spent years researching connection, vulnerability, and trust, and if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. When a man truly loves you, it's not just about words. It's about the space he creates for you to be fully seen and fully safe. And before we go any further, let's clear something up. I'm not talking about grand romantic gestures. I love a handwritten note and a surprise coffee as much as anyone. But deep, wholehearted love is built in the quiet moments. The way he listens, the way he shows up, the way he holds space for your hard things without trying to fix them. So what does real love look like? Based on research, and let's be honest, a few personal experiences that left me eating ice cream straight from the carton, being in the same room doesn't mean being present. A man who loves you isn't just physically there. He listens, not to respond, but to understand. He makes eye contact, puts the phone down, and actually engages. Because love isn't about proximity, it's about presence. We've all been in those moments where we're talking and we can see it, the distracted nod, the vague the quick glance at a phone screen. And let's be honest, we've all done it too. But we know the difference between someone being physically in front of us and someone actually being with us. I once heard a woman say, "I don't think my husband has truly heard a single thing I've said in the last 5 years." And she wasn't exaggerating. He was there at the dinner table, on the couch, in the car, but he wasn't really there. She felt invisible, like she was having conversations with herself. And let me tell you, there's nothing lonelier than feeling unseen in the presence of someone you love. The research is clear. Emotional presence is what creates intimacy. And intimacy isn't just about physical closeness. It's about knowing that when you speak, someone is truly listening. That when you're struggling, someone is aware enough to notice. Now, before we turn this into a blame game, let's be honest about how hard this is for all of us. We live in a world full of distractions, our phones, our schedules, our own stress, pulling at us from every direction. It takes real effort to be fully present, and effort, that's where love shows up. Because presence isn't passive, it's an active decision. It's deciding to put down the phone even when that email or text is calling your name. It's deciding to look into her eyes instead of at the TV screen. It's deciding to ask real questions instead of defaulting to surface level conversations. It's choosing connection over convenience. A man who loves you makes that choice not just once, not just when it's easy, but over and over again. And let's talk about listening for a second, because that's where presence really lives. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. You know what I mean, right? Someone's talking, and instead of really absorbing what they're saying, we're already preparing our response. Or worse, we jump in to fix the problem. But deep love isn't about fixing, it's about witnessing. A man who loves you listens, not to solve, not to defend, not to redirect, but to witness your experience. He doesn't make it about him. He doesn't rush to fix things so he can move on. He stays, he holds space for what you're feeling, even when it's uncomfortable. Because presence isn't just about showing up in the easy moments. It's about staying in the hard ones. It's staying present when you're upset instead of shutting down or walking away. It's staying engaged when you're sharing something vulnerable instead of making a joke to lighten the mood. It's being able to sit in silence with you and not feel the need to fill it with noise. And here's the thing, presence is the foundation of trust. When you feel like someone truly sees you, hears you, and values your words, you trust them more deeply. And trust, that's what holds love together when life gets hard. So when a man loves you, he doesn't just make time for you, he makes space for you. Not just in his schedule, but in his mind, in his heart. He lets you take up space, not just when it's convenient, not just when there's nothing else competing for his attention, but always. Because that's what love does. We all want to be loved at our best when we're thriving, confident, put together, when we're easy to love. But real love, the kind that's steady, deep, and life-changing, doesn't just show up for the highlight reel. It stays when the shine wears off. It stays in the moments that don't make sense, in the spaces where we feel messy, uncertain, and maybe even a little unlovable. I spent years researching connection and belonging. And here's the hard truth. If love is only present when you're at your best, it's not love, it's approval. And approval is conditional, it's fragile. It disappears the moment you stop performing. We all carry this fear that if someone sees the parts of us that aren't polished, the anxiety, the insecurity, the overwhelm, they'll pull away. That if we stop smiling, stop saying, I'm fine, stop holding it all together, they'll decide we're too much. But when a man truly loves you, he doesn't flinch at your hard days. He doesn't leave when you're struggling, nor shut down when you show emotion. He doesn't offer hollow reassurance just to make the discomfort go away. He stays, he listens, he reminds you, not with grand speeches, but with quiet consistency, that love isn't something you have to earn. And that's the difference. Conditional love is transactional. You behave, you perform, and in return, you're given affection. But real love is steady. It doesn't wait for you to be perfect. It doesn't disappear when you're difficult or expect you to be easy all the time. It makes space for the full, complicated, beautiful reality of who you are. This doesn't mean love should be an excuse for endless emotional labor. Love isn't about one person carrying everything while the other refuses to do their own work. But it does mean that when life gets heavy, you're not carrying it alone. A man who truly loves you doesn't make you feel like your struggles are an inconvenience. He doesn't minimize your feelings with comments like, you're overthinking it, or just let it go. He doesn't treat your emotions like a problem to be solved or something to hurry through so you can go back to being fun again. He understands that love isn't about fixing, it's about being there. Because here's the thing, love isn't proven in the moments when everything is easy. It's proven in the moments when you feel like shutting down, when you're at your most uncertain, when you need grace instead of pressure. It's in the way he responds when you're crying over something you don't fully understand yourself. It's in whether he reaches for your hand when you're overwhelmed instead of waiting for you to snap out of it. And it's not just about emotions, it's about who you are at your core. A man who truly loves you doesn't just accept your quirks and complexities, he honors them. He doesn't roll his eyes when you get excited about something he doesn't fully understand. He doesn't make you feel ridiculous for your passions, your intensity, your depth. He sees those things as part of you, not something to be tolerated, but something to be valued. Because love isn't about waiting for someone to become easier to love. It's about showing up fully for the person they are right now. And when a man loves you, he loves all of you. Not just the version that's easy, but the one that's real. Vulnerability is scary. It's much easier to hide behind I'm fine or I got this than to admit fear, doubt, or pain. But here's the truth. Love without vulnerability isn't love, it's performance. When a man truly loves you, he's willing to take off his armor. He tells you what he's afraid of. He lets you see him, not just the version he thinks he's supposed to be. We're wired to protect ourselves. From the time we're kids, we learn that showing too much, needing too much, or feeling too much can be risky. Maybe we got told to toughen up when we cry. Maybe we watched the people around us shut down instead of open up. Maybe somewhere along the way we started believing that real strength meant keeping things to ourselves. But love, deep, steady, transformative love, doesn't work that way. It can't. Love isn't about standing on opposite sides of a wall, shouting reassurances over the top. It's about tearing the wall down piece by piece and saying, here I am, not just the good parts, not just the strong parts, all of me. And this is where it gets hard because men in particular are raised in a world that tells them vulnerability is weakness, that they have to be the protector, the provider, the one who has it all together, that their worth is tied to their ability to handle things alone. So a lot of men grow up believing that love means showing strength, not struggle. They think that if they admit they're scared, they'll seem less capable, that if they express uncertainty, they'll be letting you down. Not because they don't care, but because they do. And yet the irony is this, real strength is in being known, not in being invulnerable. A man who truly loves you doesn't just stand beside you in your hard moments. He lets you stand beside him in his. He doesn't shut you out when he's stressed or withdraw when things get heavy. He doesn't pretend he has no fears, no doubts, no moments of feeling lost. He invites you in, not all at once and maybe not easily, because unlearning years of conditioning takes time, but in ways that matter. In the quiet moments when he says, I don't know how to fix this, but I'm trying. In the times he chooses honesty over ego, saying that hurt me, instead of brushing it off. In the moments when he could pull away, but instead he reaches for you. Because love isn't about perfect, unshakable confidence. It's about trust. And trust isn't built on knowing someone will always have the right answers. It's built on knowing they're willing to be real with you. And look, vulnerability doesn't mean constant emotional unloading. It doesn't mean oversharing every detail of every thought at every moment. It means being willing to say, this is me beyond the polished version. Can you love me here too? A man who truly loves you isn't afraid to ask that question because he knows that love, real, deep, enduring love, doesn't come from keeping up a performance. It comes from being brave enough to be seen. Love without respect isn't love, it's control. A man who truly loves you doesn't push past your boundaries or make you feel like you're asking for too much when you communicate your needs. He doesn't guilt you into saying yes when your heart is saying no. He doesn't roll his eyes when you set a boundary or accuse you of being too sensitive, too distant, too difficult. He listens, he honors, because love flourishes in a space where both people feel safe. And let's talk about that word, safe, because I think we sometimes underestimate just how important it is. We talk about love in terms of passion, chemistry, and connection, but safety, that's the foundation, and not the kind of safety that just means physical protection. I'm talking about emotional safety. The kind that lets you breathe, the kind that allows you to be yourself fully without walking on eggshells. We all know what it feels like to be in a space where our needs aren't taken seriously. Maybe we've had someone dismiss our feelings, brush past our boundaries, or make us feel small for standing up for what matters to us. And that isn't love. That's control wrapped in affection. Because real love doesn't make you feel like you have to shrink yourself to be accepted. I've spent years researching connection, trust, and belonging. And if there's one thing I know, it's this. People who truly love you don't ask you to abandon yourself to keep them. But here's the hard part. Setting boundaries is uncomfortable, especially if we've been taught that love means self-sacrifice, especially if we've been made to feel like asking for what we need makes us demanding or ungrateful. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are the framework that allows love to thrive. When a man truly loves you, he doesn't see your boundaries as rejection. He sees them as insight. He understands that when you say, I need space, you're not punishing him, you're communicating. When you say, that doesn't feel good to me, you're not being difficult, you're being honest. He doesn't take your needs as an attack. He doesn't turn your boundaries into an argument. He sees them for what they are, a roadmap to deeper connection. Because real love isn't about pushing limits, it's about respecting them. And respect doesn't just show up in the big moments, it's in the small ones. It's in the way he doesn't check your phone because he trusts you. It's in the way he listens when you say you need time for yourself. It's in the way he doesn't make jokes at your expense even if no one else would think twice about it. It's in the way he asks, does this feel okay to you, instead of assuming he knows what's best for you. Respect is in the details. In the way he handles your no just as well as he handles your yes. In the way he never makes you feel like your autonomy is a burden. Because love without respect will always feel like something you have to survive instead of something you get to experience. And when a man loves you truly, fully, deeply, he makes sure you never have to question whether your voice, your boundaries, or your worth are being honored. Because to him, they aren't obstacles to love. They are love. Love is not just words, it's action. A man who truly loves you doesn't just say he cares, he shows it. Not in grand performative gestures meant to impress, but in the quiet, steady ways that prove he's in it with you. He follows through, he keeps his word. He doesn't make promises he has no intention of keeping. Because love at its core is about reliability. It's about knowing that when someone says, I've got you, they mean it. We've all experienced the frustration of hearing one thing and seeing another. The person who says, you can trust me, but disappears the moment things get hard. The one who promises change, but keeps repeating the same patterns. The one who apologizes, but only enough to smooth things over, not enough to actually shift anything. And when that happens enough times, we stop believing in words. we start looking for something more solid, because trust isn't built through apologies. It's built through consistency. I spent years studying trust, and I can tell you this: trust is not a grand gesture. It's a series of small, everyday choices. It's calling when you say you will. It's showing up when you say you'll be there. It's remembering the little things, not because they're life-changing, but because they matter to the person you love. And here's where it gets real. Love without reliability creates anxiety, not security. When you don't know if someone means what they say, you stop relaxing in the relationship. You start overanalyzing. You start second-guessing whether their words carry weight. And eventually, you stop depending on them altogether. Because a relationship where you can't rely on someone is not a relationship that feels safe. But when a man truly loves you, he doesn't leave you guessing. He doesn't make you wonder if he's going to show up. He doesn't leave gaps between his words and his actions. His love isn't just something he says, it's something he proves. And proving love isn't about perfection. It's not about getting everything right all the time or never making mistakes. It's about effort. It's about showing up day after day, even when it's not easy, even when it's inconvenient, even when life gets busy and stressful and overwhelming. Because real love isn't situational. It doesn't show up only when things are good. It doesn't fade when things are hard. It's steady, it's dependable, it's something you can count on. And let's be clear, this isn't about needing someone to be your entire support system. It's not about expecting them to never struggle or never fall short. It's about knowing that when they do, they will take responsibility. They will own it. They will work to make it right. Because love is not about perfection. It's about showing up. And when a man truly loves you, he shows up not just in the big moments, but in the small ones. Not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Not just with words, but with action. Because that's what love does. Love is not found in grand gestures or perfect moments. It's found in the steady, everyday choices that say, I'm here, I see you, you matter. It's in the courage to be vulnerable, the respect that never wavers, the consistency that builds trust, and the unwavering presence that says, you don't have to do this alone. A man who truly loves you doesn't just make you feel special on the good days, he makes you feel safe on the hard ones. He doesn't love you despite your depth. He loves you because of it. He doesn't ask you to shrink, to perform, or to earn his care. He chooses you fully in all that you are. So here's what I want to leave you with. Love should never be something you have to convince someone to give. It should be something you recognize, something you trust, something that feels like home. And when you find that, when you see love that is kind, strong, and steady, hold it close. Nurture it.